afternoon. It's Walter Montero with I Love Cambridge. Today we have a guest by the name of Lois Raats, and Lois is a business consultant with Ready2Grow. Welcome to the I Love Cambridge podcast, Lois.
Thanks, Walter. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about Ready2Grow and yourself and what your business entails.
So I started Ready2Grow 13 years ago, and I started it because I'd been a professional myself for many years and had been seeking to grow my business. And I just needed to develop some resources, both for myself and then for my clients. And so I work a lot with service providers, various types, all kinds of folks, chiropractors to media people to creatives to just all kinds of people. But the main thing is I find that owners who are creative, they actually need systems, and they need sometimes help in building the systems that sustain growth. So that's what I focus on, and I build everything around best practices. So I've done just a ton of research over the years, understanding what is a best practice, what's going to be a best practice in this industry for this type of business, and then we work with those kinds of ideas.
I see. Okay. So on your website, I was online there, and it says your services include emerge, elevate, and exit. Can you explain that a little bit to us?
I can. And actually, if I could use the PowerPoint a little
bit. Yeah.
There. I'm going to just pull this up because it kind of explains a lot of things. And there's way too much information on here, but if you just direct your attention to the bottom of the slide here, the way I see growth is that there's a number of phases. This looks linear, like all in a line. Of course, it doesn't really go like that. It goes more, kind of like this.
In a cluster, yeah.
There, there's a lot of moving parts and so on. But the way it works is that the beginning stage businesses usually need more clients, more sales, more better marketing, better messaging, all that kind of stuff. So when they're in the earlier stages, that's usually the sort of thing that we focus on. And I call those clients in that 1 to 10 employee range, I call those my emerge clients, because their business is usually emerging, and those are the tasks that they need to do: get more clients, get more sales, steady cash flow, that kind of thing. But see, as they get along and they start to be more successful, they have to start focusing on other stuff, because here they've got revenue coming in and they've got clients at the door, but do they have the team to support that? Do they have the systems and processes that will make sure that the clients get the very best possible experience? Do they have ideas for the future, like say down the road if they wanted to exit, or they wanted to bring a partner in, or whatever they want to do? Like, are they ready for that? And so that's the whole concept behind Ready2Grow. Really, it takes a specific kind of learning and a specific set of skills to move from one level to the next. And that's where a person like me would come in to kind of figure out what's the lay of that land, and then how can we get this business to the point it wants to go.
I see. Okay. So how did you start into this business? So when you said you've been doing this now for 13 years, what inspired you to get into business consulting?
Great question. So really, I've done the same thing all my entire career, but I've done it in a few different places. So when I started, and the thing that I do is I make change occur. So that's my job. So a company wants change. They don't know quite what they need to do to get there. So then they would ask a person like me, whose specialty is helping change to occur. Okay, and we want to make sure it's not just any old change. It should be the right change. It should be the change that suits this business at this time in this industry, that's going to actually drive things forward. I started my career in the counseling field, and it was such a great preparation in all kinds of ways for working with people, because change is the hardest thing. It's very hard to change. We get used to our ways of doing things, and we don't like to the idea that we have to shift. And it was a really good training ground for what I do now. I took the career counseling part of what I did, and then I started to work in organizations because organizations need help. And so I did that for a couple of years with a business partner. And then about 13 years ago, actually about 14 years ago, I guess, she moved away and things shifted. So I had to rethink things. And I said, okay, well, what is the part of that business I love the best? And actually, it was working with the smallest owners. That's what I love to do the most, or just any business owner, really. Yeah, and so that's how I started this. When I started, of course, when you start, you don't really know what you're doing, right? And you don't really know what you're in for, but you do it anyway, and you just keep doing it until something works, and then you just do more of that, and so on. So really, all of us have this learning curve. I was no different, and I really used the lessons that I've learned over the years to build the best possible kinds of resources, the ones that actually work with people. That aren't too abstract, that are concrete and practical. So I have a lot of different ideas and tools that I use that seem to work to actually strengthen and grow a business.
I see. Okay. So now one of the things you mentioned as your ideal clients sounds like a small business owner or somebody in a consultant type of environment, like a chiropractor or something along those lines. What in a perfect world, what is your ideal client?
So my ideal client would be an owner of a business. They usually have some kind of professional expertise. I work with professions, everything from the healthcare professions to things like construction, legal, as I say, marketing, media, just all kinds of professions. So these are people who started something by doing something they love to do and probably do very well. But what they don't know is how to turn it into a business, how to make money with it, how to actually, without sacrificing their values or something, and then how to really grow that business to the point where they're happy with it. Not everybody wants to get big, but most businesses want to get better because they want to serve better. They would like to have more clients. They would, there's all kinds of things they might like. So that's the kind of, that would be my ideal client. So a business owner with 30 employees or less. And because if they get bigger, then they're probably going to have somebody on staff to do the kinds of thinking that I would do. That being said, I can work with them, but my focus is the smallest businesses and they're the ones who actually need the most help.
I see. So you're basically taking somebody almost from a technical perspective. They know how to do what they've been trained to do. They just don't know how to do the business part of that. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And just how to think and how to migrate across these barriers. So if you look at this diagram here, every time you move, like from a seed to a startup or from a startup to a growth company, I don't know if you can see it right there, but there's a white line down there. And what that says to me is that's a barrier, because if you don't know how to cross that barrier, it's going to be hard to get to that next level. So the consultant, the role of the consultant and coach is to come in and say, all right, what does it need to move this startup into a growth phase? What does it need to take the growth business into a more stable, long-term kind of company? And then we try and figure out what are the set of tasks and projects that are going to make that happen.
Okay, good. So now, obviously, everybody's sort of got the favorite part of their business. What would you say is the most enjoyable part of your business?
Oh, you asked such good questions. Thank you. No, I love to talk about this stuff. I really think for me, it's helping people get past a stuck point that's keeping them from getting to where they could go, right? And so there's the idea of empowering the owner, fulfilling potential, and all those airy-fairy words that are actually very powerful when you're the one experiencing them. So I'd love to just get people unstuck and moving again. That's really the thing I love the most.
Perfect. Okay. Now, I've been in the real estate and mortgage business now for 32 years, and I've got to say that there's probably never been a time where I've seen more business coaches, consultants, and that sort of thing. What would you say separates you from your competitors?
Well, that's a really fun question. I'll tell you, one fun aspect of it for me is I've actually been a coach since before the field emerged. I've been a certified life coach since 1981.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That kind of dates me. And it was such an emerging field that I wasn't in it for a while. So I kind of, and then I went through my transition into, consulting, coaching, and so on. I didn't actually even know what to call myself because I was just out of it. And when I came back into it, the field had gotten so much bigger. So the reason why there's so many is because, in part, there was a guy back in the 80s named Thomas Leonard who had this vision that there should be at least 100,000 coaches. And yeah, and it's so interesting because although he passed away at an early age, his vision has come true. There's like 1 billion coaches. So the thing that you're looking for in a coach is, number one, do I connect with this person? Like, does this person make sense to me? Number two, does this person have like the experience or the credentials that are gonna be helpful to me? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing would be, can this person teach me what I need to know, as opposed to just like laying something on me I don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
I feel so strongly about that last point that I only associate with other consultants who know how to teach, because if the client can't take it in, it's kind of useless. So those would be 3 points. And so what separates me out from others is that I have this ability to listen to what is most important and focus in on that. I will bring every resource in my, my repertoire to that thing. And believe me, it's like 90,000 files in my Dropbox.
Okay.
It's customizable, right?
Yes, for sure.
Right. And so we bring that to bear, and then I know how to make it understandable in a way that suits this particular client. Because clients are all different. Some learn by this, and some learn by that, and some don't learn at all, and some have to hit them over the head. So you really need to know how to customize their learning in a way that suits them. And I'm really good at doing that. I love doing that.
Perfect. Good. Now, are you work on your own, or do you have other coaches on staff?
So I am a solopreneur myself.
Okay, good.
And I have a very, very large network. So anytime a client is stuck and I think, well, this person would be better served by this type of help, I immediately know who I'm going to call. And as I say, I have criteria, and one of them is that the person has to be relatable, know what they're doing, and able to adapt their stuff for this person. So it works pretty well. And that way I'm not tied into, some large structure that I'm spending all my time maintaining. That being said, I am expanding, and I'm developing online tools and writing books. That's my couple of years. Yeah. So I just really want to expand the impact of the set of ideas that I've learned are true most of the time. And so that's what I'm up to in the next couple of years.
Great. Sounds exciting.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what would you say is maybe the most common mistake or the number one challenge that your typical client faces?
That is a great question. The first challenge is not knowing the lay of the land, not knowing what their question is or who to ask. It's that confusion. Right? That's the number one problem that people would feel. So they often are having a symptom and they don't even know they could get help to fix it. And that, you got to overcome that. So that's partly why I want to get my message out there. And I'm happy to, help anyone else get their messages out there too, any other helping folks. Because owners, there's so much help available, but owners don't know how to think about it. So once we get them connected with the right resources, then the next challenge is to correctly define the set of problems, because it may not be what they thought. So they will have certain symptoms. So like maybe they have this symptom that they can't keep people on their team, or they can't find good employees, right? That's a very, very complex problem.
Yes, for sure.
Usually it actually relates back to something like marketing. So in messaging, because they're not messaging the job and the role in the business to attract the people that they want to attract. So, we would fix that in a different kind of way than maybe they thought. Another issue would be, well, I don't have enough clients coming in the door. And if we dig, what we find is that they actually don't have a clear enough brand, and their messaging isn't very clear, or it's not reaching out to the people that they actually want to serve. So that's a whole different way of thinking about it. So we have to make sure that we ask careful questions to let them like really define the thing in the way that is going to produce the result that they're looking for.
Okay. So when should a business owner come sort of consider having to hire a business consultant like yourself?
So I actually think it should be a lot easier than most people feel it is. I've been working very hard to make it easier and easier for people to come on board with me. I'm packaging my services so it's easy for them to understand what they can expect. I've got different ways of offering what I do so that they can jump on board in whatever way is going to work for them. And so, sorry, I lost the question. Can you ask it again?
Yeah. So when should somebody consider hiring a business consultant? When should they come to the realization they need your services?
Yeah. So the point I'm migrating to is that it should be just as easy to hire a business consultant as it is to hire a bookkeeper or an accountant or some other person that they may be more familiar with. I feel very strongly about that because they have their expertises, but their expertise is not change.
Yes.
Accountants are wonderful at what they do, but they tend to work with what's happened in the past. They don't always think about or help the client think about what's going to be next. Sometimes they do, but often they don't. So we want to make sure that the owner knows that it's very possible to find change agents. That's really what they need. They need a person who's an expert in making the right change happen.
Right. So if you're saying that a business consultant is just as vital as having your accountant, your lawyer, anybody that's involved in the business. A business coach should be right along with that.
I would totally say that. I'm a little biased, but that's exactly what I think. Yeah.
Well, I always think that when you take a look at a guy like, for example, Tiger Woods, who is a fantastic golfer, he still has a coach. So if he needs a coach, then obviously everybody needs a coach.
Well, this is what is so puzzling to me because everybody's familiar with the idea of the sports coach, but why would you not have like a business coach or a relationship coach? And these we don't cost an arm and a leg. Like it's we can add so much value for not much money. So I just really I'm glad that you provided this forum so I can at least state that because I feel really strongly about it. Thank you.
Awesome. Very good. So obviously the name of our show is called I Love Cambridge. Now I looked up on your LinkedIn profile. You're actually labeled in Waterloo.
I am.
Right? Or do you live in Cambridge?
Yeah, but see, I've been I was born and raised in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Okay.
And Cambridge is about the only place I haven't lived.
Oh, I see. Okay. So tell me what do you love about Cambridge?
I just love the idea that I can go down there and go shopping. That's one thing I love, right? Like if there's anything that Cambridge is good at, it's Highway 24.
That's for sure.
Right? So yeah, but I just think the spirit of Cambridge is one of the I love the spirit of Cambridge as a community because it's like Kitchener and Waterloo in the sense that if it's got a problem, it's gonna band together and try and fix it. It's gonna work together to fix stuff. And I've seen that in all kinds of ways, especially in the last few years. There's issues that have come up and Cambridge folks are really going after the solutions.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Cambridge certainly knows how to make their position known and vocal. For sure. So is there anything that you like to do in Cambridge other than shop? Is there maybe a favorite restaurant that you come down to here while you're down here?
Well, I've gone to that wonderful restaurant right on the Grand River.
The Mill, the Cambridge Mill. Yeah,
the Cambridge Mill. Yeah, I've attended weddings and other things there, and it's one of my favorite places. I think it's such a great place. And then I've also gone to events at over in the you know what? I hate when my brain does this to me. Anyway. The exclusive place over on the west side there.
Langdon Hall.
Yeah, Langdon Hall.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful too.
Yeah, it really is beautiful there. And Oh, just, I don't know. I love the river that runs through Cambridge. My naturopath is in Cambridge, and every time I go see her, I have to drive down by, the rare natural
Oh,
area.
yes, beautiful.
Yeah, so beautiful there. And then, of course, you cross the river and, in different ways. I just think it's a beautiful community, and it has so much potential to develop over time.
Yes, for sure. I totally agree with you. I'm biased myself to Cambridge. My family immigrated here in '66, and I've never left. So
Mhm.
I like it here for sure.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, if you maybe a little bit hard for you to answer because you don't live here, but if you had a magic wand, what would you change about Cambridge?
Oh, that's a really great question. I have ideas about that, but they may not be that popular. I'll just mention that, and I don't think it's rocket science. Like Cambridge could use a real hub at the center, like one central hub. I don't
Yep.
even know how that could happen because it really is three communities.
Yes.
But it would really help if there was a central place that everybody called their home. Uh,
Yes.
so it's a challenge. I don't really know what needs to happen about it. In the meantime, each of the the sort of smaller communities that make up Cambridge, they've got some really fantastic things going on. Like Hesper is growing like a weed, and
Beautiful. Yeah, they've got some great stuff going on there.
yeah, and Preston's really renewing itself,
Mhm.
like that Main Street area, and then
Yep.
of course Galt has always been a beautiful area, and it's really working on maintaining its heritage. So there's just some really great things going on all over the area.
Yeah, for sure. I think over time it will probably change. I know that, even though the amalgamation happened, I believe in '73, there's still that whole Galt, Preston, Hesper mentality. But what's very interesting, especially with us on the real estate side, when we have people coming in from out of town, it's funny, we'll follow up with them 2 or 3 months later and just ask them how they're doing. And they always ask the question, tell me about the dynamics of Galt, Preston, and Hesper. We don't get it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Every community has had that. Like if you think about Toronto, and it's had
yeah,
the borough of York, and it's
yeah,
my in-laws.
Mississauga.
My in-laws lived in the borough of York, but they really wish they lived in Etobicoke. It's like
Yeah,
like it had
yeah,
all these component communities.
yes,
So
for sure.
um, I just think it's a really it has to be seen as a strength and worked with.
Yeah,
It's
for sure, for
one
sure.
of those things that has to there needs to be a sort of a collaborative solution to
Yeah,
it.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Now, Lois, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. But before we wrap up, is there any question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Oh, thanks for mentioning that. So, one of the things that I would love to just get a shout out about is my upcoming goalkeepers event.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, great.
it's part of the reason my ears perked up when Stephanie was interviewed on
Okay, yeah,
about Cambridge is because I'm
yeah,
actually holding it in Cambridge.
right.
I'm holding it, and I wrote this down. Oh, here it is. I'm holding it at the Galt Collective, which is at 135 George Street. Um,
Okay,
yeah, and that's a really cool co-working space. And I love to hold these things in co-working spaces because the owners I love to work with often are kind of hanging out there.
okay,
So I'm holding this thing at the Galt Collective September 20th. It's a morning event, and I've started to run goalkeepers not just as a one-day annual, but as 4 quarterly events so that we can focus on a specific area of business for 90 days. So the area that's coming up is client process and helping owners strengthen how their clients experience their business. The upshot of which is that the clients love their business so much that they start to sell their business for you, right? So it's like it's a really cool set of ideas. So if anybody's interested in that, you can just go to my website, ready2grow.com. That's a number 2 in the middle, not the word 2.
okay.
Ready2grow.com. And you'll find an event link on there. And then, if you're interested, you can sign up. Or if you have any questions, just give me a shout.
Good. And social media, you're on LinkedIn and Facebook, and that's
Yeah, I'm on pretty well.
all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And just to clarify where the Galt Collective is, I'm just going to give some Cambridge speak here. It's in the Black Wing coffee shop building, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's
Right across from Dixon Park.
Yeah. It's a
Awesome.
great space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much, Walter.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for being a guest.
Thank you. Okay, well, have a great day.